let's show the picks. So there are the picks. I've got 6 picks this week, and you're back to 4. So you're keeping it tight. And we are going to, let's see. So if we had, let's see. So you got Scheffler, Cantlay, and Rahm.
Yep.
So sort of like we did last week. If you had to choose one of those 3, would you go Cantlay or Scheffler?
Scheffler. Cantlay's just too close, and he's closer than he should be.
Yes.
And odds to Scheffler.
Matter of fact, his odds weren't they like 14-1 earlier today?
Let's see. So I'm looking at it right now. Scheffler is 8-1. Rahm is 8.5-1. Cantlay is 11-1. So there's no way I'm betting Cantlay only 3 points higher than Scheffler.
No, absolutely not. Okay, agreed with that. And look, we all know Cantlay can win this thing, but
sure.
we got to take the odds into account. You just have to. All right, so let's now go. And I want to let everybody know before we wrap up, when we're done talking about the RBC Heritage, we will do just a couple of minutes on taking a look at the futures for the PGA. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so next up, we've got the Morikawa group. So you've got Morikawa 18, Spieth 20, Hovland and Young 22. So out of those 4, I've got 2 on my list, Hovland and Young this week. You wanted to put Morikawa in there, but just didn't. And by the way, I was this close. I couldn't put Spieth in there with Hovland and Young. That was just too much for me. But I was trying because we've seen it happen a little bit this year, repeat champs. And Spieth is so close to winning that maybe this is where he wins. But it's just so hard to believe, though, because Spieth is he's so erratic off the tee that he still found a way to win here last year, even how bad he is off the tee.
Yeah.
So
exactly. This doesn't seem like it would be a good Spieth course to me. I mean, his 2 times before the win, he came 68th and 54th. But then prior to that, he was 11, 12, and 9.
Yeah, he's got 4 top 15s in 6 tries. He's never missed a cut.
Yeah. By the way, though, Spieth's post-round press conference on Sunday, he basically admitted that he's worn out right now. He said he's played too much golf.
Really?
He's like, I got to figure out this elevated event thing. I've played like 8 times in the last 10 weeks. I'm feeling worn down. So that alone is enough for me to not.
That's
not
it. You hear them talking like that, and good one. That's what we need to hear. So that's because that's exactly what I did. I was like, hasn't he played a lot? And I looked at his schedule, and I think he's played. Now I think the other one I checked Hovland's played a little bit. But I don't know if Hovland has played just as much as Spieth. I mean,
I'd have to look through each guy. I think a lot of
them have
played a lot, just because that's how they made the schedule this year. They're jamming these elevated events in. So, fatigue's probably a factor for quite a few of these guys. That's why maybe not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but I did consider betting Justin Thomas, who is coming off the missed cut. That might not be the worst thing in the world.
And took off match play.
Took off match play. So. He's, probably one of the fresher of these elite guys.
Yeah. And look, we talked about it with Ricky Fowler a month ago. That some of these guys have got to decide, hey, you know what? Why am I going to all these elevated events when I should think about, let them go to an elevated event. When they take off, I'm going to go somewhere where I'm good at. And maybe I have to finish in the top 5, but top 5 earnings should be just fine if you finish 25th at an elevated event.
Right.
All right. So I'm just taking a look at Hovland. So Hovland he had an extra week off. He did not play at Valspar.
All right. Yep.
So he does have that extra week. So he's actually had 7. I'm talking about the weeks. He's had week 8 off, week 11 off, week 13 off. So he's had a little bit fresher schedule. Okay. So anyway, Young and Hovland are my top 2 picks this week. And I'm getting them both at 22-1. And double check. Okay. So let's now move on to the next group. You have Schauffele, Finau at 25-1. Just quickly with those 2. I wasn't feeling it much with either one of them.
Yeah, both rate out good for me. They're Finau's 5th in my model, Xander's 6th in my model. They're both better than you'd expect on these shorter golf courses. I
They
don't have
don't have
anything
good
bad to say
histories
about
here,
them.
though.
They don't have good histories, especially Xander. He's 74th in course history among all the guys in the field. So, neither guy is having those spike weeks. They're both playing well, but they're both like coming, 10th to 20th. They haven't really been in the mix to win. So,
Yeah, Schauffele's
not.
been a little bit better.
Yep.
Finau hasn't had a top 10 in his last 6. And Schauffele hasn't played here for a couple of years. I'd probably side with Schauffele over Finau if I had to decide on one of the two. But like I said, I don't really have a good feeling on either one of them.
Yeah, Xander 32nd, 63rd, and 64th.
Yep.
In 3 tries here. 64th was his last appearance. That was 2020.
And the best for Finau was 33rd in 20. And he played in 16 and 15. So he's only played once since 2016. All right. Next, we have Sungjae Im, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Justin Thomas, the 28-1 players.
Yep.
And Im, I didn't realize that. I guess it just went down when we were talking. So Im's down to 28-1 now. And Im is one of your picks. So talk about why you picked Sungjae Im this week.
Yeah, well, shop around because I think you can still find better than 28 elsewhere at different books. But I like him. It's a good fit for Sungjae Im. Again, we talked. He's 4th best in this field on those shorter courses. He's 3rd best in this field on Pete Dye courses. Now, Sungjae's played here 4 times. He missed the cut his first 2 appearances, 13th and then 21st in his last 2. And I especially like how he came 21st last year. He lost 4 strokes putting last year, still came in 21st. He was the 4th best in the field tee to green. So he hit it well enough to win, just couldn't putt, which is unlike Sungjae. He's generally a pretty good putter. He's playing well coming into this. 6th at the Players, 16th at the Masters last week. So seems like, and I've been betting Sungjae a lot this year, and I'm starting to wonder, like, am I missing something? Because he hasn't won. Obviously, he hasn't really been in the mix to win, but he's just playing so consistently well. He just needs to have one of those, spike weeks that pop up and be good enough to win an event.
All right, and then Fitzpatrick. It's just kind of, I don't want to jump on board of Fitzpatrick after one good showing because he's doing nothing. He finished surprising 10th last week or yesterday. He's had 4 top 25s and 8 appearances here. He only has 1 top 5 here. And I'll be honest, I'm actually surprised. I thought this would be a good golf course for him, a good setup, but it really hasn't been all that great. He's just been okay here.
Yeah, you think it'd be a good setup for him because he's not, he has added distance in the last year or two, but he's still not the longest player. He is more of an accuracy player, I'd consider him.
Yep.
Man, I cannot figure him out because he was strong at the API, came 14th there. The ball striking was good. So I was like, oh, maybe he's getting healthy again. But then he was bad at the Players and Valspar, missed the cut in both of those, then was good again at the Masters. So I don't really know what to make of Fitz right now, but at 25-1, he's not going to make it for me.
It'll be interesting to follow the next, like this week and the next major to see what's going on there, because who knows, maybe he's starting to turn his attention to majors. Justin Thomas has played here 4 times, just twice since, I don't know, the last 5-6 years. So, and he has just 1 top 10, 2 top 12s. So he's been okay here, nothing great. I think he's made all 4 of his cuts. But yeah, I mean, your idea about him being rested, which he is more than some of these other players, but Justin Thomas just is not playing great golf.
That's Morikawa and JT were the last 2 guys that didn't make my card. And JT didn't make it because the reason you said he's still not at peak JT form right now. And that said, I love this course for him. Like, he's another guy. I think about a course I'd want JT at. Get the driver out of his hand because he gets erratic with the driver. But I think if you get iron in his hand, hybrid in his hand, he'll be more accurate. He is excellent working the ball both ways, which you have to do on this course. He has an awesome short game, which you need on this course. This course has the 2nd smallest greens on tour, by the way. Pebble Beach is smallest. This has the 2nd smallest. So you're going to miss greens. You're going to have a short game. So I think it sets up well for JT, and he's 28-1, which is a nice number for JT. So again, he came close to making it for me, but just hasn't played quite well enough, especially last week, obviously missing the cut.
Okay. The next two are your picks. They're both 30-1. Shane Lowry and Max Homa. So now we've been talking about Lowry and RBC Heritage since the beginning of the season. So it's finally here. You took him. So I wasn't even going to consider it because the last time we did that with Lowry, he didn't play well at the Honda. He's played here 5 times, and in the last 4 visits, 3 top 10s, 2 third-place finishes. 1 was last year. He's starting the trend in the right direction. So, yeah, this is a nice setup for Lowry. And Homa finished 41st a couple of years ago. This is a little bit surprising to me. But, again, this is an elevated event, so a little bit different than if this was just a regular golf course. That might I'd be a little bit more like, what? But being that there's a lot of money on the line, what did you find out about your data that suggested that this would be a good setup for Homa?
Yeah, 2 guys at 30-1. One is like a course fit bet, and that's Lowry. Homa's just like a talent value bet. So with Lowry, all the reasons you said, I mean, this is the spot for him. He's the best in this field on Pete Dye courses over the last 2 years. This is a Pete Dye course. He's 5th in course history. That includes, as you said, the 3 top 10s among the last 4 years. What I like too is Lowry has gained putting in 3 of his last 4 appearances here. The putter has been the issue for him for a while now. So maybe there's something about these greens that he likes. Yeah. And if he putts well, like he's been striking it well enough where he's going to be in the mix. And then of course he's coming off a nice showing at Augusta. Last week he was 7th best in the field tee to green. He again didn't putt very well. He didn't come 7th, but tee to green he was 7th best. So he's still hitting it well. Just needs to find the putter. Homa, it's just, to me, Homa at 30-1 is disrespectful. I know he's coming off another disappointing major performance. We'll see if he can figure that out, but this is not a major. He is much better than 30-1 right now, in my opinion. And as you said, 41st here in 2020. He lost 6.4 strokes between around the green and putting at that tournament. He was 8th best off the tee and 5th best on approach. I'm not worried about Homa's short game and putting. Like, he's generally pretty solid there. So if he hits the ball off the tee and on approach as he did back in 2020 and just brings his usual short game, I think he'll be right there.
Yeah, because what we have to keep in mind is his result at the Masters, and which is a completely different topic. Once again, major, he's not really in contention.
Yep.
But if we're just talking about, we're not going down that road. We're just going by what's his card look like this year. He's never been particularly good at the Masters, and if you take a look at his results before that, the guy was playing pretty good golf. So now we're back to a non-major. So yeah, I mean, I still have Homa, by the way. I haven't used him in my one and dones, but I'm not going to take him this week. You're going with a little bit more of a gamble. Okay. But this is more of a feel for you. You've got some data, but I see where you're coming from.
He shouldn't be.
He shouldn't be 30-1. Yeah.
He shouldn't be more than 20-1. I don't think. So I think I'm getting good value there.
Yeah, because really, how ridiculous is it that Patrick Cantlay's 11-1 and Max Homa is 30-1?
Well, and why is Xander and Finau and Sungjae and Patrick? Why are they at home?
And they've done nothing here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So all good. All right. Next up, we have Hatton at 40-1. Henley's 45. But one of my picks is here, 45-1. Tom Kim.
Nice.
I just felt that this would be a really good. We haven't talked much about Kim this year because he hasn't really gotten started yet. He hasn't done much. But I just figured, you know what, this setup. It's kind of new to everybody, being an elevated event. Maybe this is the week that we finally see Tom Kim at the on the first page of the leaderboard.
Perfect course for Tom Kim. Short accuracy course. You need short game. He has excellent short game. And coming off a nice performance at the Masters, right?
On a Bombers golf course.
Bombers golf course finished 2 under. The ball striking numbers were good. He won at Wyndham, which is another short accuracy course, not too dissimilar to this one. So I definitely considered Tom Kim as well for all those reasons. I think it's a perfect course fit for him.
Then you have a 50-1 Kuchar, Connors 55-1. By the way, Corey Connors, who was trending really good at the Masters,
Yes.
that went away big time after winning a few days prior. Kuchar though 50-1, Fowler 60-1 is back. Ricky's missed 5 of 6 cuts here, and yet he has a top 10 in there. But Kuchar's not a bad long shot. I want a little bit more than 50-1 in this particular field, but still 50-1 for a player that has made 18 of 19 cuts with 12 top 25s, 4 top 5s, a runner-up, and a win. And his last event, and he's got the week off, he's coming in with a little fresher legs, which will even things up a little bit considering he is older. He's coming up after that third place finish at Texas. So I think this is a good week for him. I didn't get him on my picks, but I'll probably throw a buck or two on him this week.
Yeah, I can, every Sunday night after I do my research, I just jot down like all the players I'm considering, and I want to check their odds in the morning. And Cooch made my list. I was hoping for like a 75-1 on him. And when I saw 50, I was like, I don't like the number quite enough. But it is another guy that this is the type of course you want to be betting Matt Kuchar on.
Fleetwood, Siwoo Kim, Theegala, Rose, and Poston are 65-1. I considered Fleetwood a little bit, but decided not. He finished 10th here last year. Then Theegala, I'm not even sure why he's 65-1 on this golf course. Didn't play well here last year. Poston's the interesting one. Unfortunately, he's 65-1. And you might say, well, that's pretty high, but look at the field. He should not be 65-1. But look, if you want to throw a buck on him, I got no problem with that because this is a horse for course kind of dude. He's played here 4 times. He's got 3 top 10s and a third last year.
Yeah, you're definitely paying for the course history with Poston at 65-1. The guy I considered in this range was actually Siwoo Kim. I think we've mentioned it a few times this year. He's kind of a Pete Dye specialist. He does well on Pete Dye tracks. That includes I think he had a second place here, right? Yeah, second place here back in 2018. So he has flashed some upside here. So, again, I just wanted a bit more than 65 on Siwoo, but I do think he's someone worth looking at.
80-1. Let's see. Actually, the 90-1 is interesting. That's Webb Simpson, sort of like Kuchar. I think Simpson. I'm going to be intrigued because if he plays well this week, then it's time for us to start paying a little bit of attention to Webb because he was 24th at Bay Hill, 7th at Valspar. That's 2 of his last 3. He's made 12 of 13 cuts here, 8 top 20s. He's got a runner-up and a win just a few years ago, and he's 90-1. So, again, I'm not picking him, but another player I'll throw a buck on. And, hey, if I can make $90 on a buck, it's not the worst idea in the world. So a guy, though, that, like I said, if he plays well again this week, we'll keep an eye on him down the road.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his numbers. Like the irons seem to be back. He's putting well again, which he wasn't for a while there. He's still struggling off the tee, which he definitely needs to get figured out this week. He can't be wild here. But yeah, I'm with you. He's definitely someone to keep an eye on going forward here.
100-1. Taylor Montgomery, your boy Tom Hogue, 100-1.
Yeah.
And let's see now, a couple of 110-1s. Now Power's 110-1. And he played here last year for the first time and finished 6th. I just don't like the way he's playing right now. But he is 110-1. Minwoo Lee's 110-1. And we're going to get to a player that is on my list. Denny McCarthy at 110-1. I threw a few bucks on him as one of those super long shots. He's played here 4 times, made 3 cuts, 1 top 15. And in the last 6 stroke play events, he has 4 top 20s. I also like the fact, because you were talking about how Pebble Beach with the small greens, he played well at Pebble. And I think, you know what, matter of fact, if I recall, let's see. Yeah, if I recall, Jordan Spieth was runner-up at Pebble, another player that's usually good at Pebble, the last year, and then won the event. So the whole short green kind of deal, that might be something that actually works for several players. So I figured, hey, why not throw a few bucks on a long shot like McCarthy?
Yeah, so we displayed the top 10 players on those short courses. Denny McCarthy's actually 11th.
Okay.
So he just missed that list.
Okay.
So this is the type of course you want to be giving McCarthy a shot. I like it.
All right, at 130 to 1, we have another one of my players, and I'm gonna put a few bucks on Sepp Straka. So Sepp was third here last year, and that was after he had one. I forget what it was. What did he win? La Honda, and then he finished strong third here last year, and then also almost won with your boy Zalatoris. A little bit. So it was a really up and down, but really good on the ups for Straka last year. He's never going to be considered a consistently good player, but I figured, you know what, he's a very he's a somewhat accurate player, and he looks like he's like close to potentially putting a couple of really good rounds back to back to getting contention. So that's why I put him on my list.
Yeah, I think you alluded to it. He's the type of volatile player you want from a long shot, right? Like, I'm looking at his numbers even this year. He has those spike weeks where he's really good with the irons, and that's what he's going to need here, and he's capable of doing it. So I think he's worth a look at that type of price.
Fox, who we're starting to see more, is 130 to 1. Kurt Kitayama, I'm surprised he's 130 to 1. He's playing a lot better than that. Joel Damon's had a good history here. He's 130 to 1. How about Cam Davis? Your boy Cam Davis is 130 to 1. And if you take a look at his history here, he's played the last 2 years, ball top 25s, finished third last year, and he's on one of your lists, isn't he?
Yes, the course history list.
Oh, okay.
He was, right? Yeah, 7th in course history.
Yeah, that's the 2 top 25s.
I still think he's broken right now. He's lost on approach in 6 of his last 7 events now, and he's lost putting in 7 of his last 8. He was a good putter. I'm looking back, like he used to be a good putter. He can't putt right now.
Maybe he would have been better off in a non-elevated event.
Yeah, he'll be back. I'm gonna look for signs of life from him, but I don't think he's there yet.
Adam Scott's 130 to 1. Tyler Duncan is 150 to 1. He might be an interesting long shot. Then we get to your top long shot of the week, and that is Adam Svensson at 180 to 1. So why did you decide Svensson would be your long shot? He played here last year for the first time and finished 26th.
Yeah, give me Adam Svensson on a short golf course at 180 to 1, even in an elevated field. I mean, I'd be shocked if he won, but he's 180 to 1, so It would be a shock if he won. But this is the type of course you want him on. As you said, 26th here last year. That included 9th best in this field on approach last year. His short game is improving too. I've kind of noticed watching him, because I watch him as much as I can, because I usually am betting him, and it's showing up in the numbers too. He's kind of like an average around the green game player now, where he used to be really bad there. So that's encouraging. Again, he is 33rd best in this field on short courses. He's 21st best in this field on Pete Dye courses. Those are nice rankings, considering this is a loaded field. To be 33rd and 21st in this stacked of a field, that's pretty encouraging. So I'll throw a few bucks on Svensson at 180 to 1.
Have you been who was the Canadian you took last year? Was it Svensson?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and then he won when in the
he won in the fall.
In the fall.
Yep.
Okay.
He won without me.
That's really cool when it happens.
But that was an RSM, which is that's a short golf course. Yeah, I think that's and you look at this year, he played well. I guess he played well at Genesis, which is not a short golf course. But that's generally, he came 13th in the Players. That's a short golf course. I think that's he's not a long hitter. He's an accuracy guy.
What is he? He's 61st in the world right now. Okay, that's not too bad. And the one other player that I took, and I just threw a couple of bucks on him. I figured why not, and that is Danny Willett. Because he's 300 to 1, and he does have a top 20 here a couple of years ago. He's playing better, so I'm. That's really all that is just a 300 to 1, and I was actually close to putting a couple of bucks also on my boy Shank, but I decided against that one. But all right, let's see. So that's anybody else that we didn't talk about?
Let me pull up my list. Who else? So Hoagie, I know you mentioned. I did consider him because again, you know he is truly an elite iron player if you look at the numbers, and that's important on this golf course. A couple other long shots I just looked at. Ben Martin, who I bet him actually a couple. I bet him
Yeah.
at Valero. He continues to play pretty well, and then Aaron Rye I looked at too. Just another shorter accuracy guy. He hits a ton of fairways, so it should be a good spot for Rye. So he's worth a look. I know he's over 100 to 1.
What about I know one of the guys we didn't talk about, and the only reason I'm not even considering him is because he just won a few months ago, and that's Russell Henley.
Yeah, and coming off a really nice performance at Augusta, which should not be a good course for him. This is a good course for Russell Henley. He's a shorter hitter, so but he's like 50 to 1, isn't he?
Yeah, 45 to 1, I think.
Yeah, too low for me.
Yeah.
I'd need like 60, 65 at least.
But then again, Russell Henley always seems to get generous odds, to tell you the truth. Not generous.
Yeah.
Those odds are a little bit lower for whatever reason.
Yep.
Not sure why, but hey, it paid off for him a few months ago. The thing is, I just expecting Russell Henley to win twice in a 3-month span. I'm just not going to buy that just yet, especially at 45 to 1.